Thank you.
Sure.
In an hour or so, or less than an hour, 40 minutes from now, the ceasefire is supposed to expire. I noticed that there was another four-way phone call today between President Putin, Chancellor Merkel, President Hollande, President Poroshenko. And I'm wondering, and out of that, it looks like everyone kind of agreed that it should be extended, with the exception of maybe Poroshenko, because I'm not sure that it has been extended yet. Do you support an extension of the ceasefire? And do you think that the Russians have met the, or taken steps to meet the criteria that was laid out by the EU on Friday to do by today?
Well, whether to extend the ceasefire is a decision that Ukraine and only Ukraine will make, and we'd certainly support the decision, whatever decision that they make. But it takes two to implement a ceasefire. And to answer your second question, there are still ongoing reports of fighters from Russia and Russia-backed separatists continuing to attack Ukrainian government positions. There are still troops on the border. There are still armed militants in Ukraine who are posing a threat to the Ukrainian people. So there are steps that we've long been calling for that are a part of what President Poroshenko has been calling for that Russia has not done. Now, they have taken some steps that have been positive steps moving forward, but there's a great deal more that they need to do in order to de-escalate the situation.
Is it your understanding that well, first of all, this ceasefire doesn't seem to have been much of a ceasefire at all from the very, very beginning, but I'm wondering because there have been a lot of reports of violations on both sides. But I'm wondering if the U.S. government's understanding or the U.S. government's position is that the Ukrainian government's violations of the ceasefire have come only in response to them being attacked themselves in self-defense. Is that your understanding?
That is my understanding of what's happening on the ground. And, you know, the Ukrainians were the ones who called for the ceasefire and exhibited admirable restraint in trying to implement the ceasefire. But there were steps that were taken from Russian-backed separatists that certainly didn't abide by it.
So the administration's position is that the Ukrainian government has and still is still showing admirable restraint in trying to keep this ceasefire alive, and that violations are the fault of the separatists.
Yes, and certainly
correct?
we'd be concerned about any violations, but I don't know if there are specific ones you're speaking to, or reports or anything.
No, just in general, just what, not anything specific. And then on the sanctions issue, you are not the administration is not yet prepared to pull the trigger on new sanctions?
Well, we remain prepared to impose additional sanctions, including sectoral sanctions, should circumstances warrant, in coordination with our allies and partners. But I don't have anything to announce relevant today.
My last one on Ukraine has to do with the